All right.
I still feel bad and want to apologize constantly to Sinistar for the last conversation he and I had on Marco Polo.
I don't remember what it was.
It was right after your. And so what? Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the conversation is.
We're
so I
live, just
apologize again?
FYI.
Not
You've already
live,
gotten this far.
not
You might as well
live.
tell the whole
Yeah,
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what, though? We're
Oops.
working through 7 seconds, so this is great.
yeah. Oh, this will be a profanity-laden episode.
We love dirt and laundry.
That's right.
Oh man. See, what you want to do is you want to hit them when they're up.
Yeah.
Hit them when they're down.
Hit 'em when they're
down.
down.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oops.
All
And
right.
kick them all around.
Yeah.
Kick them all around.
All
That's what it is. Kick them
All
when
right.
they're up. Yeah.
I see a live video.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
checking. We should be live everywhere. If not, too late to change things now. We're good to go.
Okay.
So let's start whenever you want.
So, mosquitoes and collecting balls of garbage and space stations. Hey, guys, what the fuck are we talking about today on? Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Press P to Cancel, your favorite podcast that talks about whatever we want. That's what today's all about. I'm not alone today. Today I'm joined by 3 of my best friends. Wolf, how are you today?
I am well, thank you.
Awesome. GP, how about you?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me.
And last and certainly not least, Jake, how are you?
I'm doing great. I just beat Animal Well last week, so that's like at least 3 games I've beaten this year. I'm just winning all the games, all the gaming goals I've set out this year. Just nailing them. Just nailing them. It's great. Couldn't be better.
Yeah. That when you get to 6 games, let us know.
I got lots of time. Months to go, really. Months.
Yeah. Something about 6. There's something about 6, and I don't know what it is. Anyway, no. So everybody, welcome in. We are talking about games that are strange. I think that's probably the best way to define them. You know, you have a number of genres that are well defined and well known, platformers, you know, you've got a whole subset of those, puzzle games, you know, etc., RPGs. Today we're talking about, well, let's see, we're going to talk about, I think, 8 games that are hard to define. So I think without further ado, maybe we just roll. I think GP, you're going to go first. How about you start with your runner-up?
Okay, so runner-up is my runner-up because I don't really have much to say about it, because you look at it and you're like, WTF? Like, who put this together? Why? What was the idea? And is there a plot? Is there an ending? I think the answer to all of the above is no. And that game, of course, Balatro. I'm kidding. It's
son of a bitch, I don't have that video.
Right. Yeah. And the pranks keep coming. Also, for anybody watching and playing along at home, yes, I have a green screen, and I've decided the image on my green screen will be another green screen. So we're doing levels here. So no, the game is Getting Over It.
Oh,
good pick.
Yes,
good pick.
great
Next.
pick.
Okay, you're a guy in a cauldron with a pickaxe climbing a mountain, and it's impossible, and the mountain never ends, at least to my knowledge. How it happened, there is probably a plot. There is probably a backstory. I haven't looked into it, because that game captured my attention long enough for me to scratch my head and move on. I think about it sometimes, and every time I think I'm going to look up the plot and the history and all that, I decide not to, because one of 2 things. Sometimes the mystery is more fun than knowing, but 2, maybe knowing would make it even more WTF, and I don't have the brain grapes to be able to process what exactly that means. So Getting Over It is my backup.
So I have never played this game, but I have watched it so many times. And honestly, I want to tell you who my favorite, YouTube personality or Twitch streamer or whatever that played it is, and I can't. Although I will say Markiplier doing it it just sticks in my brain watching Markiplier, you know. Anyway, no, I have never played this, and I've never been willing to buy it, but I've always wondered just how janky those controls are, because everybody talks about the controls are just super jank.
I owe you like 4 games on Steam now that you gifted me.
Oh no! Oh no!
We're gonna make it 3. Also, I have not tendered my resignation for the podcast, but if ever I choose my Sisyphean game to be getting over it, just know that it's coming. So yeah. Although maybe
there is an ending to this game.
Stay
Actually, it
on
does
forever.
end. Yeah.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay, there's an ending.
I apparently have this.
That is
When did that
perfect.
happen?
That proves the point.
Humble
the game
bundle?
that you own and didn't even know you owned.
Not only is it a what the fuck game, it's a why the fuck
I've
do I
played
own
it.
this game?
I've
How did that
apparently
get
played
there?
it for 10 minutes. I guess that was enough for me.
It made you so angry you repressed it.
Just put it out of your mind. Yeah. Fuck this game.
even-
We're done.
Even now, learning that there is a finale or an ending to the game, I can't imagine the payoff is worth the investment of time and tears.
Other than after having watched a bunch of it, and I don't think I've ever watched to the end, but having watched a bunch of it, the little like word bites that come in and it talks through things, like that is almost worth the game itself. Like those are so like, and you're like, why the hell does this quote matter? And then all of a sudden you're like, I see why that quote matters here. Okay, I got it.
I'm going to buy you this game, Sinistar, but I'm going to wait until I find it on Groupon. Just to add...
Does Groupon still exist?
Yeah. Is it
I
still
don't know.
around? We got
they're not
scammed
a
off it one
sponsor, I'll tell
year.
you that. I'm just saying
Well,
something
not now.
equivalent.
Groupon,
not-
we're looking for sponsorship, Groupon.
I think it still existed about a year ago. I don't know if it still does now.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
you know the
if
guy who
anybody
made
can
this
answer me
game?
that.
Do you know what other game he made, GP?
Who?
He made Quap. Do you remember Quap?
Oh,
Are
The
you
track
saying
and field game?
co-op?
no,
Quap.
Quap. QWOP.
I've
Maybe
never
I'm
heard of this
pronouncing it
game.
wrong.
What the fuck is Quap?
You never played Quap? It's a
I've
game
never
where you're a
even
track
heard
runner.
I've never heard those letters put together in that order till today.
Quap is the browser game where you're a track runner and you have a different key for every limb in the body, and you have to like clumsily hit all the buttons to move. When you play
No.
Quap and then you play Bennett Foddy's Getting Over It, it kind of tracks.
There's one like mechanically that kind of reminds me of Getting Over It, and you're like a one-armed meatball. Have you guys? And you're like escaping this lab.
A
My son
meatball?
plays it. Yeah, let me see if I can.
So we're not just talking about 8 WTF games. We're now up to 10.
It's all right. We'll
I have
focus
to
on this
mention
one.
every game I can think of so that I can still chards. I know he's not here, but tradition is tradition.
I don't know. I'm with you, Sinistar. I've seen people play this. I've seen their souls get sucked out of their bodies in real time. Especially because this is a game where like you climb up and you can see when they make progress for a good like 5 minutes, and they're so happy, and then one tiny mistake and they just fall and fall and fall.
All the
Oh,
way
it's-
back.
And it's
Yeah.
it's built so that like at any given point you will fall back to the beginning.
Yes. Yeah, you can totally lose everything. Just everything. All your progress just gone. And it's just it's I'll never play this game because I would throw so many controllers or mice. But it's a great watch.
Do you own it though, Sick Jake?
I think I do actually.
damn.
I'm just trying to figure out where. I think
Well,
I might have
I'll-
it on the Twitch store.
Maybe I can get it for chard because I think I found a Groupon for a twofer.
Squad goals. We're all gonna play Quap. I mean, like this is a Wheel of Pain game. Is
Quap
honestly what I would
Squad.
do. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Squad.
Quap Squad.
Yeah.
Press,
Have you
press,
not recently lost your voice from screaming? Flop.
I think we're going to rename the podcast to Press B to get over it.
Yeah. Press
Press
B to
B,
quap.
medicate, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like maybe we should explain a little bit about
Yes.
getting
Yes,
over
the
it.
mechanics. Yeah.
So you're a dude hanging out in a pot, and you got a big old hammer.
It's a cauldron. You
Like,
can say cauldron.
It's literally, well, okay. So it's the upper half of this man's body is poking out of the cauldron. So one is to assume that his lower half is mangled into the cauldron and stuck there,
It's my understanding.
or welded to it, or something. I don't know. And he's using his hammer to motion his way around. He uses it as a way to grab, as a launching mechanism.
Well, and the controls on the hammer, it doesn't, you can't move the hammer left or right. It moves in essentially a circle at all times.
Right.
Yeah.
Following the mouse, or what direction you press on the analog controller if you're playing with a controller.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to very gingerly sometimes work these mechanics to let you get from A to B.
And you're
constantly
climbing a pile of garbage for most of it.
But there's sections.
Uh-oh.
No.
He laughed and left. He was.
There he is. Okay, he's back. He's back.
He got over it.
He got over it.
He got over it. So here's the thing. Have you ever played Human Fall Flat and said, no, these controls are too accurate? The physics makes too much sense? Getting over it's for you.
Well, and so to expand, you're climbing this pile of garbage, and it's built essentially almost entirely vertically. And so at any given point, if you and I know that there's a little bit of non-vertical, but at any given point, if you move the hammer just the wrong way or just too much, you fly off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you generally fly all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And there are like overhangs, and you're pulling yourself up with a hammer on an overhang.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is genuinely just WTF. But it exists, and it's something people have played enough to beat. And so I guess for that reason, it or they deserve our respect. But that's all I have. That's all I have. That's my extent of knowledge of the game.
GP, did you play this one then for a little bit, or you just watching other people play?
I give it the old college try, in that I got drunk immediately and went home crying. So.
Yeah, this is.
I Ubered before anybody comes after me. I Ubered.
I went through 4 controllers. I did my time.
I put in the effort, the hard yards.
Yeah. You uninstalled and reinstalled it at least 3 times, like I did.
That's right.
So,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Is there a sixth edition of this?
So this game is super popular, or I mean, it was a meme game like 5-6 years ago when it first came out. I mean, every big streamer, every YouTuber was playing this game.
Yeah.
There's been spin-offs that have tried to kind of recreate it in a 3D version, but nobody's been able to pull it off.
There's another one that's been popular more recently that was the dude climbing with his left and right hand, and the rest of his body just kind of dangles below him.
Yeah,
I don't remember what that one's called though.
It's an interesting idea and very unique. Like, I mean, this is the guy who made Quap, and Quap is one of a kind. Nobody's gonna copy Quap. At least this game is like feels beatable, whereas Quap was like just insanity.
You keep saying this word, and every single time in my brain, it's like Quap.
Quap, just Quap. We need a sound effect. That's what we need. This is a good pick, GP. This is definitely like, why is he in a cauldron? Why has he got a sledgehammer?
Yeah.
Why would he just crawl out?
Why am I climbing a wall of garbage?
And could I care any less about it?
I mean,
all I know is I will be doing this for Halloween this year, and I hope people get it.
It's basically a modern take on Sisyphus, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well stated.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Good pick.
Yeah.
Who's that kid stuck on the slide forever?
Well, he's too busy watching Cauldron Guy.
Cauldron Guy.
Okay, well, that great pick. Absolutely great pick. Who wants to go next?
I go
You want
next.
to go, Wolf?
Okay.
Okay, sure.
All right. What do you have queued up first?
You pick. I can do any one.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to start with Space Channel 5. And I think I've talked about this in passing before, but never as a focal point. So Space Channel 5, you can kind of classify... It boils down to being a really weird rhythm game. But it was also before rhythm games were weird, right? At this
Okay.
time, when rhythm games were out, you had stuff like Parappa the Rapper was the first one probably, or one of the earliest. And
Right,
then,
yeah.
you know, we got a slew of DDRs and knockoffs of that. Plus the Groove, I think it was, things like that. But this one was like, they decided they were just going to be really weird with it and
As
make
if
you a
as,
reporter for a news channel in the future during an alien invasion where the aliens, I guess you have to dance at them and sing at them to distract them, or they're making everybody else dance. I don't really remember exactly what was going on.
so it was Guardians of the Galaxy before Guardians of the Galaxy existed.
Oh,
Kinda.
nice.
To
It was
dance,
enough to save
dance
the
off.
universe.
To dance off, bro.
I was gonna say they look surprisingly like the Among Us characters in a lot of ways. So I guess this is
Yeah.
before Among Us, but I can see the influence from Among Us pulling from this game for sure. Like with the goggles and the multicolored aliens, and it's got an aesthetic to it. I do dig it. I don't think I played this one though.
The visual style of this is very the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really dug in hard on that like super futuristic 50s look.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
60s
yes.
look, I guess. But yeah, this is such a bizarre game and I love it. And the little guys, they like tell you what to push and then you have to push that. And she like zaps them every now and then, or, you know, they just lose and just melt away. It's very strange, but it gets even weirder because at a point, Michael Jackson shows up in this game.
What?
Okay.
He's Space Michael. Michael Jackson is in Space Channel 5 as Space Michael.
Is he?
There is
Hold
a
on.
precedence for this if you've seen the Michael and Janet music video for Scream, which was awesome.
I have.
Yeah, I'll buy into that. That's fine. That one gets
Which-
past for me.
Tangentially, that goes back to one of my favorite games, Zillion, because they used scenes of the anime Zillion in the Scream music video.
I also want to point out that everybody was like, finally, we're going to have a music video that proves that Michael and Janet aren't the same person. And then they were never in the same scene together, except for like via CGI. So everybody was like, nope, they're still the same person. Yeah.
I'm trying to find
No.
Michael Jackson in the video, and I can't. This is gonna bug me because that could have been the thumbnail. Wolf. If I'd known this, I would have done that as a thumbnail. Oh, found it. Oh my God, that is Space Michael Jackson. Nope, bring him back.
Rewind
I like
the
Space
tape.
Michael.
I like
Yep,
that
there he
you,
is.
I like that you said, you know, you had games like Parappa the Rapper and you treated them like they were normal and not WTF.
Well, Parappa the Rapper, I feel like Parappa the Rapper wasn't quite as bizarre as this. Like it was unusual for sure.
It's pretty out
But-
there.
I see people with onions for heads all the time.
Yeah, and they teach you how to rap and do karate at the same time. That's totally legit.
Yeah.
Game. That's
Yeah, I don't think that's a microdose, Sinistar.
I didn't realize Michael Jackson was in this. He's even doing the crotch thing. How'd that get past ERSRB? That's
Yeah, so like
Wow.
he has speaking lines in the game,
it's
but he's always
crazy.
referred to as Space Michael, which I thought was funny. I didn't realize for a while I wasn't sure if it was actually Michael Jackson, but I think it's come to light that it is actually Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And it's weird how Michael Jackson and Sega are just constantly so intertwined.
Okay, but here's the thing. Sega was like, "Dear Michael, sorry Moonwalker wasn't as big of a hit as we thought. We would like to make it up to you after all these years by giving you what is going to be a guaranteed hit." but you're gonna have to change your name to Space Michael. And he's like, yeah, done.
Well,
No problem.
you have to consider that Space Channel 5 was actually successful enough to get a sequel.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
did it get one?
Space Channel 6?
Okay.
What was the second one called?
There's a VR
Getting
game, I
over it.
think. I think I
the
pulled
PS2 game.
Yeah.
Space Channel 5 got a PS2 release because it was originally on Dreamcast. And the PS2 release has both games in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there much variety in the levels, or is it like it's a rhythm game for sure? I'm just trying to figure out what buttons you're pushing, and then you're shooting these aliens. There's lots of dancing, but
I think it does get more difficult. I don't recall if it's all like up, down, left, right, or if they incorporate the ABXY. But yeah, it gets faster. The patterns get more elaborate and longer, and it traverses through a handful of stages. I don't remember how many each game, but yeah, it takes you through different sceneries, and the songs change as you're going, things like that. But
Right.
it's
You gotta dance your way through the spaceship.
The sequel is literally called Space Channel 5 Part 2.
Oh,
was it?
Very
Okay.
imaginative, yeah.
Yeah.
well, no,
Yeah.
that's cool. Mm.
I will
they
say
already-
that, like, I
They
love
already
the
had a number in
Dreamcast.
it. It's fine.
I love the Dreamcast because it had a lot of very unique exclusive games compared to like, the other systems. And this is definitely one of the ones that are way out there. I did almost pick it up, but I think I got Skies of Arcadia instead. I'm kind of regretting my choice. I think I should have picked this one up. I do like rhythm games.
No. This is a fun game, but Skies of Arcadia was better. I've beaten that game twice.
Okay.
I haven't actually beaten both Space Channel 5s.
Yeah, I don't think the WTF category needs to preclude the game being fun or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad
just
gets
weird
brought
games.
up now because
But it helps.
Yeah.
There was a third game.
Oh, jeez.
Was there?
Yeah, it was released. It was called Space Channel 5 VR, Kinda Funky News Flash. And it was on
Okay.
PlayStation 4 VR.
In a VR setting, I can see
What?
this being pretty cool too.
Yeah. Especially with
Yeah.
motion
I
controls
have a
with the wands.
PSVR.
It also was on Oculus Quest, Viveport, Steam VR. But yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, Kinda Funky News Flash.
Huh. Oh, it's on Steam. Look at that.
They just need to go ahead and, bite the bullet and release the trilogy. That's what I want.
Yeah. Where's the
holding out
remaster?
I'm holding out for 6. Street Fighter
So-
6.
It looks like it's apparently the actual, like the original Space Channel 5, just with the graphics in HD, and you're playing in VR instead of on a TV screen. So it's Space Channel 5-1.
Nice.
Now I'm curious if they make you do the dancing and the movements and the shooting. That could be actually a really fun game.
Yeah, that might be interesting.
Calorie
Yeah.
burner for sure. Yeah.
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 Awesome pick.
Yeah, this
It's got
is
a great look to it. Yeah. And the music
Yeah.
is definitely great too. I mean, we're not
Oh,
listening to the music on the video, but it looks great. Sounds great.
Apparently they're movie popcorn robots. They're robots that look like the movie popcorn containers.
That's just the natural evolution of popcorn buckets, right? We started with the Dune bucket, and then whatever the hell Ryan Reynolds
my
is trying to
God.
push on us with the oral
Yes.
sex bucket of Wolverine's head.
Yes.
And then now we
Yeah.
move into evil popcorn robots. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
These-
They're not even going to ask if you want the butter. They're just going to assume you want the butter.
Well, you need the lube.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's,
Whoa, nobody said that.
look,
We all
nobody's
thought
going
it,
to stop big cinema. They've just gotten too powerful.
That's right.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, that
looks
Space
like-
Channel
no,
5 is
that's-
definitely one I always wanted to try out because it looks so damn weird. It looks really interesting.
It looks like part 2 is on Steam for $8.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's a good price. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Canadian
Nice.
or US?
US. So probably 10 Canadian.
$20 in Canada. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
45 and 3 cents.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, that's a great pick, Wolf. I have never seen that game, and I mean,
Oh,
I'm not
really?
the biggest. I'm not the biggest rhythm game fan, but I may have to.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest rhythm game fan. Like I have some other rhythm games, but I never really enjoyed them as much as this one, save for like I had a phase where I played the crap out of DDR, but this is such a fun game. Like I kind of wish this used the dance pad, and maybe it did. I don't recall. Maybe I just didn't have one, but this is a really neat game.
Yeah, for sure.
I like Guitar Hero. I got into those for a while.
That's fair.
Good.
Guitar Hero and Rock Band I did quite a bit of.
Yeah.
I did do Rock Band.
Yeah. And yeah, Chard says the rhythm is gonna get you.
Is that Gloria? Or is it who am I thinking of who did that one?
Oh, that was Miami Sound Machine.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Chard's gonna probably yell at us, both of us. He's probably gonna yell. At both
Well, then
of us.
he can get
probably
on here
deserve
and
it.
do it. He doesn't,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, excellent. Well, Jake, what's your runner-up?
Yeah, I was just trying to find a better video of it. So, but yes, I will talk about it. So I saw mine. There's a website I've been a fan of for literally years called Giant Bomb, and they did a playthrough of, or a part of a playthrough of this game. How do I explain this one? Think of Star Fox. Okay, take Star Fox, add in a little bit of Metal Gear Solid Stealth. And I guess that's about all I got. And you're the size of an insect. That's pretty much what it is. It's a stealth Star Fox. Does that make sense? Probably not. It's Mr. Misquito, which came out for the PS2. And like I've said before, I have such a gap in my retro knowledge of PS2 and PS3 games. I had never heard or seen of this game in my life. And the concept is, let me pull it up here. You're literally a mosquito, and there's a long ass intro. You're literally a mosquito, and the goal is, like you'd imagine is to suck blood. You need to suck a certain amount of vials from a victim. It takes place in various rooms of the house. Every stage is a different room in the house, and you have a different victim. It's like, let me pull up actual gameplay. So you're flying around this room, and the victim is slowly moves around the room, and at first they're unaware of you, and that's where the stealth element comes in. Because as you're flying around the room, you're trying to home in on certain targets in the body and suck blood before they notice you're there. Because if they notice you're there, then it triggers a battle. And I'm legit mean battle, as in like the screen says battle. The music kicks in with some JRPG ass rock music or battle music. And you're basically fighting you're trying to dodge the attacks, like the smacking of the victim trying to get you. But it's like you're between that, you're like flying around the room, collecting, hidden collectibles, hearts, and all that stuff. As you're circling around, following the victim around the room, and you're trying to land on them without them noticing and sucking blood. It's the weirdest concept for a game I've ever heard. I would say it's unique, but they actually did a sequel, Mr. Misquito 2, Let's Go to Hawaii. So there's definitely two versions of this game. Sadly, that one didn't get translated and brought over to North America, but the first one sure is in English, and it sure is still a very Japanese game. So, I mean, it's great. The controls are, I'm not going to lie and say that they're stellar and amazing, but they work for what the game is. You fly around pretty ably. There's a nice Star Fox style like U-turn. Like when I first played this, it kind of reminded me of the open arena battles in Star Fox 64. That's what it kind of felt like in terms of controls. But obviously Star Fox is better. But it's just neat that there's like a stealth element as you're trying to fly around. There's objects in the room, so you can like one stage there's the father's laying on the floor watching TV, and you can't get near him because he's still awake. But you can find a remote in the room and smash into it and change the channel, and it distracts him. So then you can fly on top of his bald head and start sucking blood.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
And you have to do. It's so bizarre. And in between stages, there's cutscenes. But the cutscenes are from a mosquito point of view. So like, for people watching the YouTube, when I switched the video, the first thing, there's 3 heads. That's the cutscenes. The family members gather over together. I guess they're doing like a family huddle, because we all do family huddles.
Sure.
And they're talking about things. But as the stages progress, they start talking about how they're getting bitten by a mosquito, and it's just the weirdest stuff. Like the voice acting reminds me of Shenmue. I guess, and not in a good way, right? Everybody remembers how bad the voice work was in Shenmue. It reminds me of that. Like, do you know where I can find sailors? That kind of tone. But it's all about mosquitoes. But
oh my god!
The one reason, and this is the reason for the thumbnail, and the one reason I brought this one up, and why it's not just an oddball game to like a truly weird game, is when you do trigger a battle. and the victim notices you, it starts flailing away at you. Every victim has certain spots in the body that are called, I think they're called comfort spots. And then what you do is if you fly your mosquito and you jam into the comfort spot, they relax. In the first stage with the female victim, I'm not going to say it's sexual, but that was a deep probe of the promiscuous, or whatever the hell you call that thing on the mosquito.
Proboscis.
And it's proboscis, yeah. And they went hard and knocked the victim out, and then you go and you suck all the blood you need for that stage. And that's what this game is. It's like it's a series of stages. They're all in different environments, all in different victims. The rooms are interactable. You can fly around and trigger different things. There's hidden collectible things around the rooms. I admittedly could not get very far. It's a tough game, but it's such a unique thing. Like I know I have to play Buck Bumble because of that stupid Wheel of Pain last year. I wish Buck Bumble controlled as good as this game.
Oh God.
Or it was as interesting as this one, because this game is way more fun than Buck Bumble is. But anyway, have you guys heard of this one, or is there, like me, this is new?
No.
Have you?
I remember
Okay.
seeing this on the shelves at the GameStop.
Really?
I heard
Yeah.
of it
Sale?
when you mentioned it. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing this on the shelves. I was always kind of curious about it, but I was like, that does not look like my kind of game. It looks a little odd for me.
Who was it a game for, do you think? Like,
I don't
who's
know,
the
but this
mosquito
was-
simulation guy?
Well,
I think this is a
you'll
Japanese
notice that
market
one
game.
of the characters that you have to suck the blood of is the daughter. And I think you see her in the bathtub and stuff. So I think that tells us who this was marketed toward.
Yeah, it's a Japanese game. That's pretty much what it is.
I'm still trying to figure out why the mosquito. I know it's named Mr. Mosquito, but why the mosquito is humanoid with wings?
So what's funny is in the second game, you get it's the second game takes place in Hawaii because, you know, as you do, and you get to pick between two different mosquitoes, the Japanese one or the American mosquito. And if I remember right, the American mosquito has like a blonde fro or do, very surfer dude looking. It's still bizarre. It's just a bizarre game all around. I just love how it has like the targeting lock, like Star Fox.
Yeah.
When you hit the certain points and you're just buzzing around, and yeah, comfort spots. If I only knew this when I was in,
Can you do a barrel roll?
Yeah.
You can't do a barrel roll, but you can do a 180, which is half a barrel roll, right? It's a mosquito. What do you want?
Was definitely a time. I don't know what was going on, but there were a lot of weird games for the PS2 in general at the time.
Yeah.
There's one, and I'll mention it here, but we won't go into too much detail about it. It was called A Dog's Life.
Okay.
And
I
you
remember
literally
that.
played it as a dog, and you could see all the scents as colors while you were playing.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, don't they have Stray now? And isn't there Squirrel with a Gun? I mean, this feels
Yeah.
like, you know,
Goose Game.
It's a whole genre
Untitled
now.
Goose Game.
Yeah.
Which was almost on my list.
Untitled Goose Game is so fun to watch people play.
It's
Yeah.
great. It is
Yeah.
great. And I'll say this, to Wolf's point about the number of like oddities and weird things that they have on the PS2, I feel like, for example, and I can only speculate here with Mr. Mosquito, but I feel like the developers of that game had this idea back in like 1994, and they're like, but we're ahead of our time. The technology's not there yet. And
It's
the
just not there
PlayStation
yet.
1 came out, and they're like, we are so close to getting everything we want from Mr. Mosquito, but not quite. And then the PS2 came out, and then they played, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and they said, graphically, yes, but that game is not, interesting enough. Let's do Mr. Mosquito now. The world is ready.
It's
And here
time
we
for
are.
comfort zones. Let's
Oh,
go.
jeez.
Comfort spots.
Comfort
I am-
spots.
I am surprised I didn't get like a third game or something on Steam. Like this. I mean, we're in a world now where you have Galgun, so I guess they've kind of taken it to another level. But I just expected to see a sequel. Like this is a game I just surprised I've never heard of it before. Like you mentioning that you saw it in GameStop is amazing to me. But again, I wasn't really actively looking for PS2 games. I didn't own one. I was a GameCube kid. I was clearly missing out on the mosquito simulation train. But it's wild.
You know those wonderful top-down shooters like 1942?
Oh,
and
yeah.
the like,
Yeah.
this is what I want from the next Mr. Misquito. Give us a mode of, okay, keep the 3D aspect of this, but fly through a ring or collect a bauble, and then let two little mosquitoes flank you on either side, and let them,
shoot the comfort spot, remote,
Yeah.
shots or something. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I'm expecting from the next Mr. Misquito.
Yeah.
The mosquitoing.
I think this is definitely a WTF pick. Well
Yeah.
played. Well played.
Like I'm just saying, if this is what you get from mosquito bites, then maybe I've been doing camping all wrong. Maybe it's time to leave the deed at home.
Yeah.
Just enjoy.
I never feel comfort when there's a mosquito near me. Never. Yeah. Okay. Well, awesome. Okay, so I guess my runner-up. So my runner-up is actually, I've played two of these. I'm kind of taking a little bit of liberty, and I'm going to say WarioWare as kind of an entire, melded together. Now I played the one on the DS, Touched, WarioWare Touched, and I played Smooth Moves on the Wii.
Yeah, that's one I know.
Yeah, and I mean the one on the reason I kind of treat these as WTF games is, I mean, obviously they
weird.
are, but like even the mini games, like one of the things about Mario Party, right, is the mini games, well, they're strange, they at least kind of make sense. WarioWare, the mini games are pump all the lead out of the pencil. Like, or I don't know. There's a bunch of whack-a-mole. There's a bunch of
Sniff back the snot, I think is one of the ones I remember.
Yeah. And they're literally 3 to 5 seconds long. And I love the one on the DS, the WarioWare Touched. And it used both screens very well. There's this whole story where Wario is eating sweets and his teeth become they become nightmare fuel. I'm gonna warn you, you probably don't want to play WarioWare Touched if you have any weirdness about teeth at all. But WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Wii, it was glorious. Before each one of the things, it would tell you how to hold the controller. It had the hold it like a waiter, or it had tug of war, or it had, and my favorite was always the elephant. Hold it up against your face. And then you had to like nod. Like it would be like, is this a thing? Yes or no? And you'd have to nod or, but yeah, I mean, these mini games are crazy. The characters, I don't even remember their names, Jimmy T or something. They're all kind of, along this line. Anyway, it's a very interesting, the mini, what do we call this genre? Mini games?
Micro games, I think, because you're right. They're like they're seconds long. Like there's not one that goes above 10 seconds. I think they're very short.
Yeah.
The cast of characters is really interesting. Like I've played the Switch version. There's a Switch one that came out I think 2 years ago, and I picked that one up. And the characters just, I figured there's like a backstory to some of these characters, whether they were in earlier franchise or earlier entries in the game and the franchise, and they are, but they're just so bonkers. Like there's like a 70s disco type dancer with the fro.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a crazy lady with a hat. Like they're just a very weird group of characters, and you only have them for like seconds at a time. It's an interesting one.
And there are even boss battles, right? Which takes away the timer, but it's it's a very interesting series of games. So yeah. Now,
I've only played the Game Boy game, I think. The Game Boy Advance game.
Right.
WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games is the one I played. And that's because my brother had that one. And it was just, even the Game Boy Advance one was weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was quite as wacky as they've gotten. Like some of the micro games in that one were actually like, there was a Legend of Zelda one for Zelda 1. Like it kind of leads toward what was that Wii U game and DS game, the NES Remix.
Oh, NES
Okay.
Remix.
Oh,
Yeah.
Remix was so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of feels like NES Remix was inspired by this, but they were like, but what if we do it with all NES games?
Right.
And so
I
it
just-
inherently became less wacky.
Yeah.
Like we're watching the video.
I just watched one of the mini games, and it was unroll the toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I love some of the little follow-ups at the end. It says "Save the trees."
Save the
right?
trees. No, I
We
mean
can
we've
do
been
this
as
'cause
we've been
it's
talking.
downhill.
There's been like I think we've seen 15 games in like the couple of minutes we've been talking, and they're all bonkers weird. They're all very different. I just
Yeah, pluck
what
a
would the
hair.
dev team look? Yeah, plug a hair. What's the dev team for this look like? They're probably sitting in a room and they're shouting out ideas on a board, and then they have to run off and try and code a pretty unique mechanic for a 5-second game and move on to the next one. There's a bunch in this game.
Yeah, the graphic designers had to be like, I hate you guys. I hate you guys so much.
Can we not
Like,
reuse an
maybe-
asset at least once?
Yeah, you've made me draw skin with a human hair sticking out of it. That's there once, and it's gone. Like,
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
you guys.
This
Or they
this also
did it
feels
the-
like something where all like the whole dev team is like, okay, let's brainstorm a bunch of games, and then you'll be in charge of this one. You're in charge of this one. You're in charge of this one. Since they're all like miniature games,
Right.
everybody just gets to program one. It's like, all right, when you're done with that one, come back. We'll give you another.
Yeah. You've got half a day for this one. Go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the WarioWare games. But I honestly I loved the one on the Wii. I really did. I thought
it's
that one was
classic.
clever. Yeah. Yeah.
The
So
only character I really remember from this game was, well, there's a couple. There's 9-Volt, which was the gamer one with his
Yes.
DJ, like boombox buddy. And then there's Ashley,
Mhm.
which is the only one that's got like, it's like the most normal name, but she's like this Addams Family-esque character.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I had to look it up because the style of this game reminds me a lot of Rhythm Heaven, which is another interesting weird series that I love. And there's only a couple entries there, and I looked at the developer, but it looks like different teams than Nintendo. But there has to have been some kind of cross pollination of staff because the wacky sense of humor in Rhythm Heaven and WarioWare is just it's on the same area.
Mhm.
Oh, this game is over the top. I guess when I played the Switch one from a couple years ago, the big change with that one is that you could play as all the various characters in the cast and unlock them, and they all had a unique way of moving. Not as mind blowing as I wanted, but the mini games are just as weird and wild as this game. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
definitely a good pick.
And to be honest with you, there really is a sense of accomplishment when you do like 20 mini games in a row and
Yeah.
you just do them without having to like redo any, you know?
Yeah.
There really is a sense of accomplishment to being like, hey, I did these 22-second things. I feel great.
Yeah.
This
And-
is
and-
it's also I'm sorry, GP. I have to wonder who was like, you know what we need to do with Wario? Weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they had tried Gross, and Gross apparently didn't sell all that well. So
Yeah.
they're like, all right, weird. We can work Gross into weird.
Oh yeah, one of those mini games was a gal
It's
who
like
had just
picking a nose or
faucet,
something,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to slice the snot so that she can
Yeah.
sniff it in. Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
also feel like not to kind of use this joke over and over in one episode, but I feel like they were thinking, okay, if you don't have the patience for the mini games from Mario Party, like if you thought Mario Party drug on, this is a
Uh-huh.
game for you.
You know, I think you found your market. This is a market. This is a series of games designed for ADHD kids.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you
very
go.
much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Johnny Test of video games.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, like Sony is releasing a game called Astrobot. They're doing a full version of that game, and there was an interview with one of the teams on that, and they said their goal was to have a different element of gameplay every 10 minutes because they found that people get distracted or bored with the game if it's longer than 10 minutes. WarioWare is like looking at that research and is like, nah, you guys are scrubs. New game experience every 5 fucking seconds. That's what we're gonna give you. 5 seconds, radically change gameplay.
You wouldn't
it's fun.
believe how absolutely tired of bored of Witcher 3 I was after 120 hours.
Well, so it's a neat discussion point though, because we've all, I think we all like Skyrim to a degree, or Morrowind or Oblivion.
Yeah.
Those are games that you play and you generally find something, whether it's a cave or a town or something, every 10 to 15 minutes. It's pretty frequent. You stumble across something. Famously, nobody finishes Skyrim because they get distracted. But when Starfield came out, the problem with that game is you go to the various planets, a lot of them are dead planets. They're empty by design. And if you do go to a planet that has something, they're vastly spread out. There's not nearly enough, like, that dopamine hits of finding something new every 5-10 minutes. It doesn't have that. And a lot of people point to that as being why those are boring. So WarioWare is, again, 5 to 10 seconds, keeping you on your feet, on your toes. You can't stop to pick your nose when you're playing WarioWare. You just ride it out, right?
I find that problem also with Forza when I'm doing races with Forza 5. I invariably get an itchy nose or something when I'm in the middle of a race.
You can't pause. There's no pausing in Forza.
Yeah,
you gotta just keep going.
You're like,
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
and there's a part of me that's like, it would be nice to have pedals, because then I could like one hand it like I'm driving a car.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
Awesome.
good pick. That's definitely a weird
Thanks.
game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of these are all by design. So, all right. Do we want to either work backwards, or do we want to go back around the room like we did before?
I got GP's
let's
video
just-
queued up if you want to do him.
Okay.
Same order.
Yeah.
And
All right,
I'll keep mine kind of succinct because I know we're going over on time here. So I'm glad we've had the discussion about the WTF game can be fun. Doesn't have to be a horrible game. We have not clarified what WTF means. Now, granted, to most people in the modern vernacular, it's, what the fuck. This one's more of a why. Why the fuck? This game is an NES platformer from 1992 called MC Kids, or Mick Kids. And it was a McDonald's-sponsored Virgin Enterprises or Virgin Video Games release. And it's exactly what you think. There's some, for whatever reason, plot where the Hamburglar stole, I think it was Ronald McDonald's magic sack. And then he hires these two children, Mick and Mac, whom we never see again in any of the McDonald's lore. And he's like, hey, I think I saw the Hamburglar run off toward Bertie's treehouse, which these are all characters. There may be a generational gap here, but McDonald's used to have mascots. The Fried Kids, Grimace, Hamburglar, Mayor McCheese, who I really do think was my spirit animal. But it was, so anyway, it was this, why the fuck? Obviously, it's a cash grab. And it's not to say it's a horrible game. I enjoyed it as a kid. There's definite member berries, for me, nostalgia-wise. But to call it a great game would be a stretch, I think. But, I mean, it is the McDonald's toy of video games, if that makes sense. If you haven't played it, it's worth 20 minutes of your time, or roughly 500 WarioWare mini games. But yeah, it's
good measurement.
It's thin. It's not very substantial. Some of the platforming is fun. There are puzzle aspects, collecting tiles, and figuring your way through the stages.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Because I just watched part of the video where this character picks up a block and just kind of deposits it in the air, and it just starts moving, and he jumps on it. Like it looked like there was no recommendation to do this.
Yeah. Okay. So there are some prompts in the game or in the stage. Like if you're looking at the screen a few seconds ago, I don't know if it's still going. There's a metal storm gravity inversion aspect as well. So there's, like I said, kind of a puzzle aspect to it. None of which I really remember like the plot details to, or if it exists at all. But it does seem to be this kind of mashup of everything from, has the Metal Storm-esque things. Some of the platforming mechanics are very Mario World, the Super Nintendo, Mario Brothers game. So it's this amalgamation of odd things. And you know, this would have never happened if we had the Szechuan sauce in the 90s. So
This is the protest generation. No Szechuan sauce, and we just got this game.
yeah.
It's neat. So I know this game because of the Game Boy one. There was a Game Boy version of this of McKids, which I always found neat because it was McKids in the EU, the PAL version, but when they brought it to the US, they took the McDonald's license out of it and they branded it as a Cool Spot game. So because the Game Boy had a lot of games where they rethemed them all the time for different regions, and that's what that was.
Yeah.
So to see this one is neat. They do show up. These two characters, Mick and Mac, are actually in a few different games. GP, it's a franchise.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I was unaware. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Mick and Mac Global Gladiators is basically the kids from Mick Kids. I'm not saying any of them are good. I don't know, but I mean they're not bad. It's a fine game. It's a platformer.
I'm now picturing it like American Gladiators. They're going up against Blaze and Laser, and it's these two kids just getting absolutely wrecked,
destroyed
by these like monster, gladiator people.
You have to go through the gauntlet at McDonald's. Well, when you guys were kids, did you guys have the playground? Like, so when I was a kid, when you said Mayor McCheese, I know Mayor McCheese because I crawled through his cranium. GP. Because when I was a kid, the McDonald's playground had these tall, like cylinder things you could climb up into and into the head of the burger people and run and crawl around their faces.
And it had metal bars. Now they had kind of crossbars, so it didn't look exactly like you were in jail.
Yes,
but it was like you were in jail.
And then your mom would be yelling at you you got to go, we got to hurry up, and she couldn't come and get you. Nobody can get, no adult could get into those damn things.
And
they were kids' safe space.
There's 6 children trying to get in it as well, so there's no way you're getting out.
Oh my god. And another thing real quick, 2 things. One, I'm glad you brought up Cool Spot because originally my whole kind of opener to this game was going to draw parallels to Cool Spot because the NES version was so bad, but the Sega and Super Nintendo version of Cool Spot absolutely owned. Those games were amazing. But yeah, that's kind of a WTF, why the theming of this, that, and the other. But this game obviously was made for McDonald's, and I think it was just board members saying, hey, let's appeal to the children and cash grab a video game. And here's $20 for the budget.
Yeah, like the whole idea of corporate cash outs on these games is always interesting to me, especially for Cool Spot. We all know the true, real classic of Cool Spot was the NES game.
All right,
which I argue was a platformer, even though you guys disagreed with me, but it was definitely a platformer. Because what is a table, GP, if not a thing you could jump off of?
All right. But
clearly McDonald's saw the success of Yonoid and was like, we need to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's another
First
one.
off, there is an absolute bonkers story about why the Yonoid campaign ended. I'm not going to get to it here, but if you look it up, it is a ridiculous story. In fact, we've talked about this other podcaster. He's a strange, dark, and mysterious, podcaster named Mr. Ballin. He just did an episode on it about a month ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, not important to the purposes of today's discussion. I do want to show love, though, for McKids, just because, like, the puzzle aspects and some of the things really were top tier. That's the standout part of the game. I promised I would keep this one short. I've done a horrible job at that. So that's all I'm going to say about McKids. Anything else you guys have, please feel free to get into it. But yeah, great game. Just
this is definitely. I was watching the video and I was thinking to myself, WTF the whole time. So, all right, Wolf, I think you're next.
All right, so my second choice tonight is Jet Set Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was released in the West, it was originally called Jet Grind Radio. I don't know if that ever got changed, but the sequel ended up being called Jet Set Radio Future. But I imported it and played the Japanese one, so I always called it Jet Set. Anyway, this was a game that's on its face, it just seems odd at best because you're playing as street gangs that tag up the city of Tokyoto, marking their territory, fighting over territory, and what have you. Occasionally the cops come in, but it's this weird sort of skating game where it's all about grinding and tagging ridiculously hard to reach places around the city. But the plot is what makes it really weird. Because as you go around defeating these other rival gangs, you get pieces of an old record that is called, oh, what was that called? It is called the
Golden disc or something?
the Devil's Contract. And supposedly
Okay.
it has the power to summon a demon. Well, this major corporation that is kind of like bearing down on the city wants this vinyl record, and they end up getting their hands on it. The CEO of this company wants to make a deal with a demon to have more power than he's already got. So this is the deeper plot of this.
Hmm.
The
That's
deeper plot. Well, yeah.
huh.
But I mean, this is a game. The soundtrack is pretty wacky. It's
Yeah.
catchy as hell,
It's
but
good.
the soundtrack
yeah.
is also wacky. I have songs from this soundtrack on my current playlist. I love this game's soundtrack, but they're bizarre songs.
I always enjoy that art style, that the cell shading and things like that. That's
Yeah.
Yes.
very cool.
This is, I think, was the one that really pioneered that style, I think, because this is a Dreamcast game as well. Was there other ones that are cell shaded before it?
What
When
was
did
Beautiful
did,
Joe?
well, when did
Is that what I'm thinking
Okay.
of?
when did Dragon Quest, whichever, the Curse of the King or whatever, when did that come out? Because that one was all cell shaded.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't remember.
I just
what
remember
year
this is
that
the first one
was.
where this is the first game I saw where it was cell shaded and it looked really good. Like it fit the aesthetic of what they're going with. I love the environments, right? Like no load screens, is a gigantically huge city and you can grind off most everything. Like I know a lot of folks love Tony Hawk. I could never get into Tony Hawk because like I
I
just remember
love
playing
Tony
this kind of game, right? In terms of moves. It's hard though. It's definitely a tough game. I don't think I beat this one as a kid. I got a few stages in once you pick it up, but I had a real struggle kind of getting a handle on the controls, but the aesthetics are definitely down.
Oh no, I 100%ed this game and the sequel. I love these
Nice.
games.
Nice.
It
This
was
makes me
so
happy.
much fun.
I like that we're not just crapping on games for our WTF. We're celebrating them,
No,
but also
and
pointing them
No.
out. It's great.
this one was also one of those games like it could connect to the web. You could make your own tagging symbols,
That's what
Oh,
it was.
really?
and then you could share
Yes.
them online.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I mean, it was really neat. There were a lot of characters that had a lot of charm. The level designs were really cool, and you could just like, if you got the right spot, you could grind off walls back and forth, just getting higher and higher to get to the ridiculously hard to reach places. And it was really cool how they handled it. And it wasn't all tagging. You also had like, I think sometimes you had to spray paint your opponents
Hmm.
to like knock them out.
Yeah.
And
I know. I
you
remember
know, randomly you'd have the cops show up and you'd have to avoid them while you're doing all this.
if I remember the cops were like the UK style bobbies with the hats. I'm gonna see if I can find a video
Yeah.
of them.
Except for the lead investigator who was like the
Yeah.
long duster and the big wide brim cap and
Oh, I don't know this character. There was a lot of characters in this game actually. I think
'cause
there's hidden ones
there
as
were
well.
other gangs. And so when you
Right.
beat the other gangs, you would get somebody from that gang.
Hmm.
And the gangs were also ridiculous. Like there was one gang called the Love Shockers, and they were all jilted lovers. That was the entire basis of their gang. That is why they're going around tagging up the city, being menaces.
Ha!
Why
Broken
should the
hearts.
rest of the world have
Yeah.
anything beautiful?
It's true to real life. It's true to real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got my heart broke. Guess I'll join a gang.
Yeah. I was in a gang once.
Hand me that spray can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me that spray can.
maybe
Nice.
maybe
But,
Banksy's
yeah,
just a
it's-
divorcee and that's all it is. It's, you know.
Oh, I forgot you had to input like directional
the
inputs
motions.
to tag.
Yes,
You had to
that's
do
how you
like
tagged,
circular
right?
motions, quarter motions, things like that. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. And you also had your stock of spray paint, so you had to like go around and collect more as you were going around.
And I remember it gets tricky because you would have to like grind off a wall and to reach a billboard, to spray the billboard, the ones that are in the air were a quick press, right? And then you're constantly trying to tag everything, and some of them were quite involved while the cops are looking around for you and chasing after you. So it's definitely a hectic game.
This is
Steven
it's
would
funny
be
because
great at this game.
I was actually talking to my kid not too long ago. Told him that we should play this summer.
And he was like,
I told him about it. He was like, "Yeah, that sounds fun."
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, especially if you like the open worlds of some of the Tony Hawk games. I feel like you might like this one. But for me, it's just the style and the music is what sells it. This is another Dreamcast classic for me, right? I only had a handful of Dreamcast games, but they all felt really original and really, really interesting.
Yeah, like Dreamcast definitely had some bizarre entries, and I mean, Saturn did too. Sega was no stranger to the weirdness in general, but these are just two of my favorites, and they're also out there and wacky. So
That's cool though.
No, these look like great games, and definitely not something you see like kind of genre splitters or genre changers,
yeah, and the Sauce in chat mentioned that they still have the Jet Set Radio Future soundtrack on their phone playlist.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
cool.
that was also a good soundtrack. That one was a little more focused. The first one had some like Eurobeat people I had never heard of, and I think some other Japanese bands. But the second one, they brought in the Latch Brothers, which, if you're not familiar with them, it's two of the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
After the Beastie Boys had separated.
Huh.
And they had some really good hits. They had some really good music on that game.
Very cool. No, I think this is a great pick. This is a great pick
Yeah.
for sure.
A real hidden gem, if ever there was one.
Awesome.
Get it on Steam.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jake, how about your second or
Yeah, so this is a game. So this is a GameCube game, although I did not hear of it when I had a GameCube. Imagine you are it opens with, I'm going to pull it up because it's like a unskippable 3-minute intro, so I'll just give you everybody a taste who's watching the YouTube video. That's important. But it basically takes place in ancient Japan, I guess, in a kingdom. A general basically loses a battle, takes his own life. His son tries to put together the pieces to become a great general himself. And he finds a special bell called the Nintendo Bell, or Nintendo Bell? I think it's Nintendo Bell. And he basically wants to become a great warrior, a great general like his father. And it's straight out of like, Three Kingdoms or Total War series. Like it just has a very serious tone to it. But no, why is it weird? Because it's a pinball game, guys. That's what it is. I'm gonna skip ahead because that intro is 3 minutes unskippable.
That is the greatest plot twist in the history of this channel, by the way, Sick Jake. Thank you for that reveal.
It's a pinball game. I don't know if you guys played. You guys haven't played this one, right? I don't think anybody has.
No,
I don't think you've said the name.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Odama. Sorry, Odama. Which so in addition to the Nintendo Bell, right, which is basically the goal is to bring this you got 4 half-naked men trying to carry this giant bell across a battlefield. And so there's your warriors and the opponent's warriors on the other side. Very much feels like a Total War battle, except yes, it's pinball. The Odama is actually a giant iron ball, which in pinball fashion, you have 2 concrete paddles on the bottom of the screen, and you can knock the ball up onto the playing field, knocking out all the troops that are fighting. Not just the enemy troops, also your own troops. And it's freaking wild. And it's a pinball game. So where it gets interesting is, much like a pinball game, and we've all played pinball games, there's usually objectives on the playing fields to get scores or open up certain things. And this one, for example, it is a tactical battle. It's happening in front of you. In most stages, there's a river or some kind of obstacle, and you have to hit something on the field with the ball to unlock it so your troops can move forward. So for those who are watching the YouTube video right now, in the first stage is a river, and you have to close the floodgates with your ball so your troops can make it across. So and it's filled with things like this, like things that are in pinball, like spinning barriers and whatnot, are in this game in some form. And murder, yes.
Oh my gosh.
And they also equip too, right? They're like, Could this end? Tell my children I love them. Like they talk in text bubbles as this is unfolding. And of course, you have a certain amount of reserve, and you can just send them onto the battlefield at will. But it gets a little bit weirder. I don't know how many people are aware, but it gets weirder. On the GameCube, there was a microphone accessory you could buy. I knew of it because of Mario Party, but Odama came with it bundled in, and you would clip it to your controller. Because the troops don't move on their own, you have to give them orders verbally with a microphone. It's not super complicated. There's like 12 commands.
Awesome.
But you have to do you have to hit a button and go march left, and they go to the left. March right, retreat, push forward, push forward. They have very short attention spans. These are WarioWare minigame players. They have very short attention spans. So as you're trying to get your troops to move forward and carry this bell across the field, you have to say push forward more times than I would like. But there's things like flank and destroy. What was the other one? Oh, recall. If there's like a certain thing on the screen you want them to go to, you move your cursor and say recall. It's wildly frantic. There is strategy to it, but it's hard to do strategy when there's a fucking ball flying across the screen, because when that ball hits the gutter, it's game over and you've lost the battle and you got to start it all over again. It took me no less than 20 tries to beat the first stage. It's not an easy game, but it's a pinball game. that is pinball, yeah.
I thought that my follow-up game here was going to be like the epitome of weird games, but I think you've trumped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one game... I had actually, you mentioned this the other day in Marco Polo, letting us know this was your pick, and I had never heard of this one. Like it's rare that I've not heard of a game at all. I've not heard of this one. This is bizarre. I would have probably been all over this back then.
Well, you want to take a guess who made this game, or the creative director of this game. Take a guess what his earlier game was.
Hideo Kojima.
No,
no.
Sadly,
well,
no.
It's clearly, I mean, it's the Nintendo Bell, so it's somebody at Nintendo, right?
No, it's so. Oh, what's his name? It's the guy who created Seaman or Seaman. He did both. Maybe.
Is it Seaman?
Yes, it's a Seaman creator. He only did a handful of games. He did like Sim Tower, Seaman, and Odama.
I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry. Did you really just say the word seaman and handful in the same?
Well,
sentence?
I think we're gonna have a clip that's gonna be it's the man that invented semen.
I had to start with somebody. It's the chicken and egg type thing.
Oh my God.
It's and then when you realize, okay, it's the guy who made Seaman, it makes a bit more sense. Maybe not. It's still weird, but it's not a terribly long game. I think Time to Beat said like 3-4 hours, but every stage is for the most part unique. There's a lot of different mechanics that are kind of brought in as you play. I mean, some later stages are in a circle and you have your bumpers on various angles. You have to rotate around to control them. There's one stage that has a giant that you have to take down, like a boss. There's a weird twist in the last stage with some time travel. I don't want to spoil it, but it gets weird.
It's an RPG.
It's a bizarre it's a pinball game. There's not much way to ending, but I will say the ending has one of the most banging ending theme tracks I've heard in a long time. It feels like something straight out of like Cowboy Bebop in terms of like its tone. Again, for a game that's in the theme of ancient Japan and samurais,
right.
It has like a really great ending song credits.
Yeah, because everybody knows that feudal Japan and samurais, what do they love? Pinball.
Yeah.
and Cowboy Bebop. I mean... and fast jazz.
But yeah, this is a wild game. I don't know. It's a hard game, and it can be a little bit tricky to set up. So you do need a microphone to play. If you own a Steam Deck, which I know a few of our listeners might own a Steam Deck, there is a way in the emulator options, if you have EmuDeck installed or whatever emulator you're using, I think it's Dolphin I used, in the options you can set a microphone, and there you can pull in the default microphone of the Steam Deck, and it works beautifully. Nice. If you're playing on a PC, you have to find another way to put a microphone in, but it's worth the setup, I think, for this game.
Huh.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm curious about this. I'm going to try each one of these games also, by the way. Everything mentioned today I want to try.
Yeah.
Except for
this
getting
is
over
what I'm going to have to give a shot to, because this is wild.
Yeah, this looks very cool.
Well, I have to follow up that.
Yeah, good luck. Wow me.
Here we have a giant enemy crab.
Oh, wait.
No,
It's a kaiju? Oh.
no. There was that PS3 reveal game. There was like ancient Japan, and like they were talking about the realism, and then it got followed up. And here we have a giant enemy crab.
Oh, deep cut.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, my second game, which I felt like was the epitome of a WTF game.
It is.
I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure a very large amount of people are familiar with and have probably played Katamari Damacy or Damacy or however you pronounce it. I think it literally means soul clump or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it means.
Let me Google that.
Yeah. It's if you're not familiar with this, the whole premise is the galactic god, I don't remember, gets drunk one night and destroys all of the stars in the universe, except for apparently leaves the Earth. So you have to go to the Earth. He sends his son, who is 5 centimeters tall, to go basically collect things to turn back into stars and become, recreate the universe. And the way that it works is you have a ball and you roll over things, and if they are smaller than you or if they're smaller than the ball, you will pick them up. And it has one of the coolest control schemes. It's literally just the 2 sticks on the controller. You kind of roll left or right. I guess it's a better version of tank controls, I would say. It's very clever. You basically have a time limit, and you have to become a certain size, or you have to get collect enough things for the ball to become a certain size. And as you go, it starts to become larger and larger, and you can pick up larger and larger things. Eventually you're picking up buildings, and you're picking up other things. And what's great is sometimes you'll pick up things like, say, a pencil, and it will make your collection ball, whatever it's called, so lopsided that it rolls incredibly strangely.
Yeah, because you can roll up the pencil to where it's like stuck on a side and it's pretty flat, or you could accidentally grab it with an edge, and then it's like womp womp womp, because it's like poked off the edge of the ball just straight out.
Yeah. and then it has a 2-player mechanism that's just great, where you try to become the correct size faster than the opponent, but if you become large enough fast enough, you can go roll over your opponent and kind of pick them up too. So yeah, it's this crazy, strange, the creator of the game designed these characters. Their heads look like hammers, and there's a reason why. I watched a little bit of a history on this. The creator was originally working on a racing game. He's one of these people that doesn't like to do things the same way as everything else, and he got bored of this, and so he came up with this concept of these hammer-headed people that would knock out humans and start driving them around, and the characters just stuck. So that's why they have these weird, like, hammerhead looking things. And then now I never played more than just the first game in the series, but apparently there's a family of all of these. I think they refer to them as cousins, and they kind of grow throughout the series.
Yeah. So yeah. I have Katamari Damacy. We love Katamari. Beautiful Katamari for the Xbox 360. And what was I have the one on PSP as well. I don't remember what that one was called. And that one actually throws a twist at you that the other ones don't. Is when you beat the game, during the credits, you're awarded with a side-scrolling version of the game.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
So it's like a 2D Katamari Damacy. It's really weird.
That's awesome. Oh, and I'm watching the video, and I had forgotten that, like, as you roll over living things, they continue moving while they're
wriggling and
or the human's legs are like flopping back and forth, or
I'm impressed.
I'm sorry, I do want to interject real quick though, and just say this is another great on the nose Sisyphean game.
Mm-hmm.
If Sisyphus is rolling a bottle of of peoples and parts, that's a whole other kind of genre.
Eternally rolling a ball is the theme. That was the most educated thing I'll ever say on here. Thank you.
That's crazy. This game is graphically, it's impressive because like all the different polygons of all the objects you pick up and stick together. There's some pretty impressive tech on this game, and it looks pretty solid. Like I've never been a huge fan of PlayStation graphics, but this one looks great.
They also handle it in a creative way because as the ball gets bigger, obviously the PS2 can't handle all those polygons and all that in the ball at once. So when you get bigger, the little things just sort of disappear and the world gets smaller. And so it loads up like a different version of the world where the objects are all smaller and slightly less detailed.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and this one's a blast to play. So either find it originally or use the dreaded E word, emulate it or something. But yeah, this one's a great game to play.
Well, Reroll is out on PC and all modern consoles as
and
well.
That's a remake or remaster of the first game, I think, right?
Yeah, it's a remaster of the original game. And I think they did a reroll of the second one too, right?
I think
that one.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love Katamari Reroll.
Yeah.
Nice.
I may have to. I think this is one that me and my son could play together that he would really enjoy. And it's just so not goofy. It's awesome, but I think this is definitely something he and I would be into.
Yeah, and when you mention this,
huh?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, GP.
Okay, I was aware of this game when it came out because I remember who was playing it. I remember seeing it though and thinking like, oh, that's a fun thing, and then kind of like forgetting it. But every now and then it'll pop up somewhere in the world, and I'm always like, oh yeah, I should try that. So yeah, again, great couple of lists on everybody's, but this will probably be the first of them that I try.
Yeah, this is another one of those games that when I saw it on the shelf at the GameStop, I was like, yeah, I gotta get that.
I don't know. I kind of want to play. I kind of want to play feudal pinball murder simulator.
Yeah,
with
classic genre.
Of bebop. Yeah.
No, Katamari is like when you mentioned this. Sorry, Wolf. I gotta say this real quick. When Sinistar told me about this pick, and I'm like, I remember that game. That game was jamming. And then as soon as I pulled the video, the opening 5 seconds, the theme kicks in, and it's like da 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 da, and you're just like, yeah, that game is iconic for a reason. The soundtrack is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy that did the soundtrack did a number of the Bandai Namco like Tekken and a few others.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is another one of those games though where the soundtrack is just super wacky but also full of bangers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
So there's 8 plus some bonus discussion about some WTF games. So if you've hung out this long, please like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. We're going to chill here for a minute. Join our Discord. You can find everything at pressb.org.
Yes, or use pressb.cancel.com, please, because that's the main one. Pressb.org is for Chart only. It says exclusive to Chart.
Yeah. Yeah. So please, and then of course, if you listen to this podcast or you're interested in listening to this podcast and it's not on your favorite podcast software aside from Google Podcasts, sorry, let Jake know. He'll make sure it ends up there. But yeah. Anyway, guys, do you guys have anything you want to talk about that you're doing, or
you want to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna shout out Animal Well again. Is it a game of the year? No. Is it a game you should play? Yes. Grab it on Steam Sale at the very least and check it out. It's one of those games where it's deceiving when you first play it. There's definitely layers to it. There's certainly a layer of puzzles that you're never going to interact with. It's fine, But I will say the other day when I put ink in my computer, I put ink in my printer, it started printing off a sheet. And on that sheet was an image from Animal Well, because I'm at a level in that game where it's doing that now. And that was pretty interesting. So it's a very interesting game. Not quite Tunic interesting, but it's an interesting game.
I heard you say you put ink in your computer, and I was like, oh, you're playing WarioWare again?
Nice.
There you go.
Anyway,
Mario
Wolf, what were you going to say, Wolf?
Oh, I was just gonna say I know I keep saying I'm gonna do this. I'm kind of waiting till summer. Kids got a couple weeks left of school, and then I'll be able to do the streaming of like Turbo Kid or at least uploading videos of them. Turbo Kid and Okami, my Sisyphean game. I'll finally get to start it. I beat my last one last summer too, so it's fine. But I'm also thinking of just doing Metroidvania games for the channel in general, just to test them out and see what I think of them. So
nice.
Very cool.
I tried the demo for Gestalt the other day, and that was rad. So I'm like,
Was it?
kind of
Okay.
into it right
Good.
now.
Good.
Excellent. Anything else? All right. Well, folks, I appreciate you all being here with me for this. I think this was a great discussion. And yeah, that's been another Press B to Cancel.
Ah!